You know, you can hear him in other ways apart from speech. Because you're always communicating, just in different ways. So just be mindful of that. Like I personally feel babies can feel vibration as well, so they're more sensitive, so you can feel everything about you.
Yeah, I know you're sensitive for sure. That's a beautiful gift to have. And it's progress on me because I always hide my feelings. So and it's not something I want to hide from him or from anybody now.
I can relate what some of that I've been learning is rejection's actually a good thing, because rejection, it's getting all the people out the way that aren't right for you. Like, yeah, and now I'm just being my true authentic self, you know. Before I wouldn't be, because I was feared rejection, but I just realized rejection's a beautiful thing. It's just, yeah, the right people come to you when you're your true authentic self. You're pushing all the shitty people away. So just be yourself. And if people don't like it, they're just not the right people for you. And it's making room for the people who are. How can people love you if they don't know the real you? Allow people, let people see you so you can be loved. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, you want love, but then you're not being your true authentic self. You're not allowing people to see you for you, so you're not allowing love in. So just be you. If people reject you, that's good. It's just pushing all the shitty people away. Yeah.
Allow people to let them in.
Sorry, I didn't hear you, Pascal.
Allow people to let them in.
Yeah. Like now we've been talking, Pascal. I feel a connection to you now. I've been myself when you're being yourself, which is nice.
Mm-hmm. Feeling the truth. Of who we are, which is love.
Pascal, would you invite Craig in?
Yeah, absolutely.
And give him a overview of what we're inviting him into. And there's some help in the chat. Ali left a great one. If you need it, and I'll read it if you can.
No, I cannot. I'm just driving. So I don't know if someone wants to read that to him.
I'll
do it later. He can read it.
Sorry, I'm gonna shoot off.
Yeah, thanks, Ian. Bye.
Right.
Thanks for being here.
Not much.
Good to see you, Ian.
Bye, Ian.
Bye,
Bye.
Ian. I can read. I'll start with Jesse offered trust and acceptance, explore, experience, aware, our growth of our growth. Ali said, I choose expression, trust while we explore our experience with fuller expression of creation. And we recapped with trust, acceptance, explore, experiences, awareness of growth, expression, and communication. And so to Craig, good morning, Craig. Here is Ali's words and recap of the morning. I won't read that again. Pascal introduced communication. So we're feeling our feelings this morning and appreciating relationships with others that are in our lives and who have been a part of our lives, who may have before had triggers and being aware of our own growth and how we choose to show up in other places, especially for Ali, in that he's going to be visiting with some family, his sister, and he's choosing to show up as himself with compassion. It was a big flow of compassion.
Beautiful. Thank you, Sandrell.
Thank you, Cinderella. It's good to hear your voice.
It's good to be here. And thank you for all your links and postings you've been putting in. They've been really been helping to keep me connected and not lost. I feel like I've been floating around in the galaxies in a good way.
Yeah.
Without limitations, but it's always good to, have not even an anchor, but just that again, umbilical cord to a cord that's reciprocal for me.
Yeah. We're here.
Yay!
Just a reminder. Yeah.
And so where are you today? What's your word? What's your feel? What's your be?
Oh man. Oh, the last 2 or 3 days I've just been spinning in potential. And I was going to say swimming, but it's interesting that the word spinning came up. So yeah, spinning, interesting. Am I making yarn out of it? Oh, that's interesting. Oh, spinning too. Yeah, that's another thing too. On Easter Sunday, a book came out of me.
That's interesting.
Yeah, just exploring that, and it was a really. I experienced huge energy coming in from. Yeah, it was just definitely cosmic energy. is to start off the day at 5 a.m. for me. Jesse and I were on the call together. We were the only ones. And it just went from there. Like I went out for a walk while I was on the call, and I didn't even go back in the house. I was out all day on my patio doing my thing, and it just stuff kept spilling out of me and spinning. So yeah, that's why spin came up. Many things clarifying, many things unfolding. A lot of synthesis happened, continues to happen. I'm really loving potential. Oh yeah, and here's what's coming up now too. I discovered a number of months ago, and this might be, I'm trying to remember when it was. Doesn't really matter when it was, but I learned by absorbing. I learned by having a very loose focus on the subject matter.
Why loose?
Because that's where the gold is. And because that's the way I'm designed. I'm designed to process input over time instead of in the moment. So it's kind of like learning for me is like gathering up bits and pieces and allowing them. It's like gathering potential, actually, and then kind of allowing them to interact with each other in my superconscious. And eventually what comes out is a synthesis, is connections between very different and diverse concepts and ideas. And that's just how I operate. And quite frankly, that's my happy place. And during my lifetime, I've not been allowed to occupy that happy place very often. So I'm really thankful for an automobile accident I was in 3 years ago that that actually gave me a traumatic brain injury that makes it hard for me to concentrate. And because of that, I'm not tempted to go into my head to try to focus. I'm not distracted by my brain away from my happy place. So that's part of what this book is about.
Is it called My Happy Place?
Nope, not yet, but it might be. But it's meant to appeal to all of those scatterbrained thinkers who are very right-brained and think conceptually and abstractly. You know, like people with autism, people with who've been given the label of ADD and ADHD and stuff like that, and have been ostracized for the way that they think, have been actually ostracized for their true nature. And yeah. So the objective behind the book and my new practice, my new life practice is about creating a community of these people where their genius is honored, accepted is a big deal, but honored, and given a place to express itself. Among other peers who understand.
So I was a special ed teacher for almost 20 years, and my thing was
It's interesting
honor.
that you're here today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I became one on the onset of people in scientific magazines and what have you, realizing that new neurons could be developed, new patterns could be developed.
Right.
But I was,
Neuroplasticity.
yes.
Yep.
But I was in the space of, I didn't want to look at children's IEPs until I got to know them as a person.
Yeah, good.
And I would give them like exploratory things to do or build or create or draw. And that was kind of not really trying to give them an assessment. I just wanted to get a chance to know them and interact with how they express themselves.
Yeah.
And how, ask them, well, that's beautiful. What made you choose that color or that shape or, and I gave them like random stuff. I said, just do whatever you want to do with it. Some kids wanted to come get glue and glue the things down on cardboard. Some of them wanted to glue it on the desk. Some of them
Yeah.
wanted to build things. Some of them wanted to, because I gave them things like little bricks and dice and balls and cotton and glue and paper clips and pencils, just a whole bunch of stuff, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just let them build and create. Some of them made like little robotic looking things. And that helped me to just have a conversation with them and value them and have them put in words what if they wanted to give words to it. So that was how I interacted with them. And then my theme was between us was that you teach me how to teach you what there is for you to learn here, but this is
Yeah.
not everything, you know. I wanted, and then I often found myself like dispelling the thought for them that they had to fit in a certain way. And I was like, no, you know, we do have rules and regulations. Yeah, we do have to line up to walk down the hall and all of that kind of stuff. Because those are big rules, but the rule of you is you. You know, we all have, you know, our way of being. I said, we in here and those out there, everybody has a way of being. And when that way of being works is good. And if it doesn't, that's just information for us. So without getting all that deep with them, it was just more asking them questions, you know, well, how does that make you feel? Can you, you know, teach me, you know, why you thought you should do that? Giving them a chance to process out loud, like we're doing here.
Mhm.
But I'll also say that when they overcrowded the classroom and it really got, and then they mixed grades with inclusion. They had less classrooms for my students. And so my student population grew and grew. And I went from having 5 kids at a time with classroom support assistants to having 16 kids from 3rd grade to 6th grade. It was mad. It was mad crazy.
Mhm.
And I had to watch out for kids' education and safety and their emotional, like trigger points were like things were all over the place. And I was just psychologically not equipped for kids who stabbed each other with pencils, literally climbing up on lockers and jumping down, using other kids as a cushion or a target. I was
Yep.
like, I was, you know, I was not equipped for that. And still responsible for teaching, having them reach their IEP goals. And, you know, or
Yeah.
that was my job on the line. It was just like crazy. And so you could imagine I'm working to develop and honor their thought structure. You can imagine my mind jumping from here to there, to there, to there, to there,
Oh yeah.
like on so many different levels at one time. So administratively, educationally, psychologically, physically, and my alarm system was like always at high alert. And at the same time, I had to monitor my action and interactions so that I would get home without having handcuffs put on me for touching the child. And, Yeah, you're laughing. It's real, right?
Well, oh, I know it's
Um,
real.
Because you couldn't touch you know, even to stop a kid from hurting themselves, they'll go, ah, Miss Parker hit me. I'm like, wow, this is really extreme. Um, so my mind, instead of me developing their minds for cohesiveness and honoring and thought structure and self-understanding, I developed neuroplasticity of trigger, 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 trigger response. And I'm like what they call it when people go into the service and come out with post-traumatic syndrome.
Yeah, post-traumatic stress. Yeah.
Yeah, I have that. I have to keep things calm around me. I have to be aware of what I can and cannot accept and be okay with that. I have to let things pass me by that are just going to be too much for the moment and not apologize for it. And so now I'm more, I was already high concept, abstract, artistic thinker. So now it's like, okay, Central, you don't do multitasking. That's not happening. You're going to do one thing at a time, and that's it. And if that's too much, you're not going to do that either. But it's like, how do you make a livelihood off of that mode of existence? And you know, it's by the grace of God, you know, that's a real thing.
Well,
So
Cinderella, welcome to the community.
yeah, that's why I'm here with you.
because this is how we do it.
This is how we do it.
This is how we do it. We create a place for people who have those very challenges, but now they're adults, and they've been forced and coerced into learning situations that didn't suit them. They were forced to do stuff as they were growing up in their families because their parents and their siblings didn't understand them, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So here's a safe place to explore your own true nature among other people who've had very similar challenges throughout their life.
Yeah, it's learning how to be. So
Well, exactly. Well, and it's all about potential. Okay, I ran across somebody on Instagram a couple of weeks ago that brought up she calls herself the multi-potentialite mentor, and she's talking about these people that that grew up that way, where they couldn't fit in anywhere. A lot of them have real challenges interacting with other people and in social situations. A lot of them had real challenges trying to fit into a linear oriented school and linear oriented education, that kind of stuff. But these people are extreme geniuses. And throughout their life, no one has known what to do with them. And so it hit me that I'm uniquely qualified to create a community of these people because I know what to do with them. And I know it needs to be a very safe place, a place where your genius is honored and embraced and challenged, even. And a place that's socially safe because you're with peers who understand that side of you and want that own side of them accepted and embraced as well. And there's a lot of stuff in there that's nonverbal. And so what we're going to be working on is super skills like intuition and true creativity. Interacting with the unified field in a way that only we can. and doing that kind of stuff. And so, like, I'm really, really excited about what's coming up here for me and now for you, because you got it immediately. Like you're you're well versed enough to know from experience that a school environment isn't the place to do this. And the school system doesn't have a clue how to do people like this.
Yeah. Well, the school system, it really wasn't made for people. It was made for industrialized society.
Exactly.
It wasn't made for humans. It was made to turn out worker bees.
Yeah, exactly.
So
you get people like that who have all this potential. They're carrying around all this potential, and it's not allowed to express itself. And so they do things like stab each other with pencils and stuff like that because they're a pressure cooker. Every single one of them is a pressure cooker walking around because they've never been able to let it out.
Now, see, for me, if I had like a big open field and some bow and arrows, I'll be like, yeah, hit the bullseye. It's a way to help them exercise that type of energy or whatever. It's like what my father did for me. He saw that I was showing some affinity toward photography. He brought me a camera,
Yeah.
He saw an affinity for me enjoying painting. He bought me an easel and a paint kit, 3 of them actually. My parents saw that I was into dance and a dance troupe, and we needed to make uniforms. My mother brought a sewing machine for us.
Yeah.
It was, supporting those things that they saw coming out. My son had a propensity for biblical expression. I bought him his own Bible. We created a little ark for him, and gave him a shepherd's staff and those type of things. My youngest daughter, again, art and words. So we need places that cultivate what people are gravitating to, yet not limiting them by those things that we're offering to them, so that they can create from those things or help us identify other stuff that support them.
Yeah.
But then there's making a living and being able to, for what does churn out, add value that others would want to offer an exchange for, so that you can live. you know, you can make a
Right.
living.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the interesting thing is, and what I've discovered here as well, is that there are a number of these people who have become multimillionaires despite that. And it's funny, the ones that are multimillionaires don't really realize that comes out of that kind of giftedness and that kind of genius. So I'm attempting to be the bridge between that, because I see these people as they're the future of the planet. They're the future of the world, because everything's going that way. There's a lot of scientists and writers that are talking about the information age being replaced by the intuition age. And these people are the ones that have the head start on that, because they're already abstract conceptual thinkers. And we desperately need people who are very confident in creating something out of nothing. And they're the ones. We are the ones. So that's where this is going. Like this idea that each individual has to make their own living is total bunk. The new world isn't going to be like that at all. In fact, it'll run a lot more on the principle of share and share alike, where people are doing and being what they're designed to do and be, not, like you say, the industrial forced to and be equipped to work on an assembly line anymore. Human beings are so far away from our true nature at the moment. It's unbelievable. So I'm really thankful this morning, Sindrell, that I shared this vision, and I'm thankful that you caught it, that you caught the vision.
Yes, Greg. Thank you for sharing. It's great practice. Yeah. Bringing new creations into the world, into the existence, into words, into communication,
Yep.
into
Yeah.
the light.
Yeah, and we find out that other people have something similar in their heart as well.
Mhm. Attract the passions that are committed to that are organized around it, and you accumulate greatness.
Yeah.
Funny enough, I just went to an enclosure and it says, educating the mind without the heart is no education at all.
Well, true. It's not.
Synchronicity, eh?
Yeah, totally. Because our society thinks that that teaching and training are education, but they're not. There's something else completely. The goal of teaching and education is uniformity. The goal of education is drawing out latent genius. Very, very different. So education honors diversity and uniqueness. And teaching and training honor uniformity. They're diametrically opposed to each other, those two ideas.
True education is discovering your geniuses.
Yeah. Yeah, the word educate actually means to draw out of. So it implies a pull. And teaching and training imply a push, like an insertion. Teaching and training are very masculine energy. And education is very feminine energy. It's receptive. That's why you can't really train a potentialite, because it doesn't work that way for them. Their learning is largely nonverbal.
So is it then they say that it is in the experience that the learning's there?
More of that. That's what you get when you explore experiential learning. Is it's like it's learning by doing, but for a potentialite, it's more like absorption, and you'll find people like that will get really absorbed in something, but they might lose interest in it. So these people very seldom find a specialty unless it's really, really broad. Like that's how I ended up as a media producer is because I could produce a video or whatever about any damn thing I wanted. So I could explore any subject area and put together a program about that. And then once that was done, I could move on to something totally different. So that was a really good career for me because I could complete something and put it on the back shelf and then go and do something different. And apply all that learning to everything else. Because that learning accumulates. So yeah, and that way it's experiential. Because besides learning the subject matter, I also learned different ways to put it together, different ways to communicate it, different ways to, you know, the key word there being different ways, synthesizing different ways. That's the challenge part that I thrived on. And as you guys probably know, I love to be one of the first people to do certain things. And I was put into that situation very often, where I got to do something that no one else in the world had ever attempted. Like being the first person in the world to try computer animation, or be one of the first developers of online learning. My work life is a history of innovation over and over and over again. And the interesting thing is that ability to innovate was never honored by society, never honored by the work world.
Mhm.
So I kept having to prove myself over and over and over again. Because it didn't really show up in a resume. And quite frankly, the people I worked for didn't honor it either. Like they didn't value those geniuses. So you end up after a life and a career with a monstrous toolbox.
Mhm.
And a confidence to go with it.
Mhm.
But the hardest part was always finding someone with money who wanted to do something, who wanted to do some kind of big audacious project and understood that I could do it. I've run across very few people like that.
Mhm.
But I'm starting to find them.
Fantastic.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you for communicating your genius with us this morning.
Thank you for the space to do so.
Mhm.
I can't tell you how valuable that is to me. I can't even begin to explain it.
It's all, it's part of the process. It's what we need, what we look for, what we desire. I mean, all we do is we look for a place to belong.
Well, yeah, isn't that true?
Place to be heard, no matter who it is.
Yeah, it's like our dream. A dream are hard to understand for other people, but they're clear to us. And it's to be able to communicate the way people will understand it.
So true, Pascal, to frustration, anger, stress of not being heard.
Yeah, that's a huge issue with these kind of people.
And yes, I could see that at like degree wise, and I say for everyone. All different degrees to them, not to take away for anything, but also not to take away from everyone.
Yeah. Well, here's a sad truth: is a lot of them have taken the academic route and have managed to have managed to have some success there. But the academic route is all about specialism, and a multi-potentialite cannot be a specialist and stay there for very long. It's just so counter. That's just so counter to your nature that, you know.
Yeah.
So I really feel for these people. I mean, that's, you know, that's basically what happened to me inside a marriage, inside the idea of marriage, is because to have me focus on one family and one spouse, and I always felt pressured to have a job that was permanent and all that kind of stuff, and I just couldn't do it. Well, it wasn't in me to do it.
Yeah, a lot of people are very successful in their career, but they still feel empty inside. Not fulfilled.
Well, I don't think there's very many of us who are actually built to work to a 9-to-5 schedule. I think that whole structure runs so counter to our design. You know, I mean, that's why things like stress are one of the highest medical challenges of our generation, is because we've been forced to fit into that hole. By society.
Yeah, we're still running from the lion, even though there's no lion.
Well, right. And what's interesting is that survival instinct been replaced by this thrive instinct, which is exactly the same thing. The thing is, people are still running away from the lion. Even if they're thriving at what they're doing, they're still running away from the lion. It's based on the same thing. And there's this idea of you work really, really hard, and then you purchase some time off. But the cost is way, way too great for the majority of people. Because they can't sustain it.
That just makes me reflect back to what Jesse was saying. You know, he working on something, and then he took that day off to be with his daughter. And I just don't think that we're meant to sustain any one thing. continuously. It's just not our natural way that we're built, where we are variety. And, you know, if we were only meant to do one thing, maybe we would just have one eye and one ear and one finger and one toe and one foot. You know, where we don't have to do it all at the same time, but there's variety for us. And I think that's you know, that's living. You know, that's a beautiful thing. We have a need for progress and growing and striving and challenges and expression, and relationships. And but when somebody, you know, it's even something as simple as taking out the garbage. If your job is to take out the garbage, gosh darn, isn't it great if somebody else does it sometime? So you don't have to, you know, then you can appreciate getting back to it and doing it. I mean, we're meant for variety and evolving.
Well, on top of that, we're all unique in the first place.
Mhm.
And society's answer to that is treat everybody the same.
It looks like I had a very demanding morning this morning. I bid you all adieu. Have a wonderful day evolving. I got another multiple call coming in. Have
Oh,
a
wow.
great day. Peace.
Case and Drill, sending you energy and love.
Thank you so much.
Bye,
So
Sandra.
good to
Thank
connect
you.
Nice
Thank
to
you
see
so
you
much.
today.
Thank you.
Well, do we think we're at completion?
We could be.
It's a possibility, right?
That is a potential.
It's a potential. Yeah, I just feel like what's really holding us back, like from not running, from running from the lion, is energy. You know, like if people wouldn't be so scared of not be able to heat their house, electricity, that we have free energy for everyone, then that will remove a lot of stress in the world. And it's, I don't know, I also feel like why the price is so high right now, because I just signed up for the new bungalow that we just bought, friend, and the difference between my house and the new contract is like 3 or 4 times more. So something has to happen. I feel like everything they've been suppressing, in the next few years, we're going to see a lot of coming back. There'll be a big shift. But it has to happen.
Gonna see a lot of what coming back.
Like these invention for free energy.
Oh yeah.
It's all,
Yeah, a lot of those things have been suppressed.
oh yeah, big time.
You know, they've had since the mid 70s, they've had internal combustion engines that can get over 100 miles to the gallon,
Yeah.
for example. I mean, and that's like 45 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but we've never seen them. Why have we never seen them? Because everything's being manipulated.
Yeah.
Same thing's true with energy, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it's because potentialites have been suppressed.
Yeah.
Because we have all the answers to all that kind of stuff.
And more.
Well, and more, exactly. And so when you unleash that, it's a real threat to the people who are controlling the world.
Yeah, it comes back to control.
And I don't mean political people either, because it's not the political people that are controlling the world. There's a much higher level than that.
Mm-hmm.
That's controlling everything. That's what frustrated Donald Trump about being in office.
Of being anonymous?
Of being in office is because he wasn't allowed to do what he wanted to do.
Right. Yeah.
Because the president is just a figurehead. They're the front man that's put out there by the powers that are actually running the world. And apparently he didn't know that before he got in office. but that's been true throughout my whole lifetime. It's just more and more obvious today than it was when I was young. That's what's so powerful about this work that I'm doing. Is it basically what it does is it liberates all these genius people who have been suppressed by everything, by society, by all those powers that be, and and gives them track to run on, and honors their unique truth.
How is your project, Jesse? How's it going?
Like how you would imagine that oil companies are interested in cutting their emissions.
Yeah.
As well as
Right.
you would expect them to be listening to that type of offer.
Right.
Fighting, changing anything that they're already doing, and be open to something new. I mean, it's the disease of our industry.
Yeah, let go of the old.
In a corporate culture that hasn't rewarded that in years, has asked for those to just follow the cookie cutter plate, and now can't tell if that's either just mouth service, lip service, or if it's truth. And everyone else is behind it too. It's big shifts I've seen in the industry and experienced before, starting with safety. Not until it was on everyone's performance contract for the year did it get traction. And it's not on everyone's performance agreement today.
Right.
So it's moving forward as fast as it can move, which is where my frustration is.
Yeah. And do you know anybody else that's doing what you want to do? Like anywhere in the world or?
Yeah, I mean, yes and no, right? All the oil companies, quote, are doing it. Just the people I'm dealing with aren't doing it. The field level isn't doing it because at the field level, it's not like it doesn't exist at the field level because it's a direct fight. It's a direct, there's a defense against accepting the narrative. So it's not allowing, not accepting the narrative. So it's a defense because it's challenging their whole career. It's challenging what they've signed up for. It's what their livelihood is about. And so anything that threatens that, people don't want to go into.
Yeah, they don't want to
No.
even talk about it, right?
That's right. And so it's not like it has to stay that way forever, just like what we were talking about.
Right.
So the point of it is that people need to hear it however many times, likely 7, to start making sense.
Yeah.
So
From
those that
different
invest
angles.
those that invest the time to tell them 7 different ways have the opportunity. Now, does that make me happy? Not at all. Does that run smoothly? Not at all. Does that frustrate the hell out of me? Yes, it does. So that's how my project's going.
Mm.
So have you made any advancement as far as identifying the real resistance?
I spoke it as best I know.
Like, is it resistance to change? Like, what's the threat? That's the question I'm asking. What's the threat, the perceived threat in the field?
Well, you could imagine that a entire industry, a entire career is threatened by this narrative. So their livelihood, each individual's livelihood is threatened to it, which is why no one wants to listen to it.
So what threatens the livelihood?
Greenhouse gas, their emissions, the conversation of how to reduce them.
How?
Well, if you accept that you are polluting the air, then you are guilty.
Oh, okay.
And no one wants to hurt their community. No one wants to threaten, and even as environmentally sensitive, because that was never a case in the past, right? There was places that the environment we were unaware of, and now it's much cleaner.
Right.
It's much safer.
So
And
is the
so
threat
people have,
is the threat being accused of something?
oh, yeah, without a doubt.
Okay,
I mean,
accused of what?
Ruining the world. Good people are being accused of ruining the world
Okay.
for a career choice that people have made, that people want damn oil and we're delivering it. And we're getting accused and threatened and extinction. We're being forced into extinction from our perspective.
Yeah, but you got the answer to that accusation.
Only when people can listen to it, you bet.
Well, they can prove the truth, that the accusation is false.
When they listen to it, yes. But only when they prove it do you have to accept that that is a truth to it, right?
Yeah, but your product proves it.
When they accept the truth of that, yes.
Got to do more work on that accusation, because your answer's in there.
Well, I know the answer is in them seeing how they can get out of it.
No, the answer is in understanding the accusation.
And what do you hear as the accusation?
That's why I'm suggesting we explore it, because I don't think we've heard it yet.
Well, let's see, the accusation and the reality are two different things. So we as an industry know the truth that you can't go without oil. And working to eliminate that, which turns it in. So
Is that the threat?
I mean, there's not just one.
Well, okay.
So if you're going to work it you have to work it at an individual level. And the biggest individual level that I see is the mood to fight. And so what are you fighting?
Exactly.
Right? You're fighting the narrative that we need to quit oil. So you're fighting that because your whole career has been based on it, and people are working to retire because that's the most important thing, right?
Right.
Use a livelihood for their and retire. And that ability is being threatened. At an individual level. You have bosses, CEOs that can't tell whether they're mouthpiecing or they're true behind it. Nothing adds that they really are because they're just lip servicing so far. But that's how safety started too.
Yeah, exactly.
So you call it a transition. Anytime you're leading something new, there's always a transition of what they can't see to what they need to see. And people are stuck in their ways, which is why they can't see it. So which is why one yes and works extremely well.
Yeah, but are you actually introducing something new?
Without a doubt.
Okay.
Now, from what perspective? I mean, if it wasn't
what's
new,
new?
people would
What's
be
new
saying,
about it?
obviously, if it wasn't new, people would obviously be saying yes to it.
Okay. So is the issue with the newness of it?
Partly. I still think the issue is two things. One is you can't do that, and two is like the defense in being able to do anything about it as well from an individual field level.
Okay, this is let's go back to the beginning. Okay. So where were you at when you implemented the use of this product?
So,
like, what changed your mind?
uh, 80% of my assets I couldn't do a damn thing with.
Why was that?
There was not economical capabilities available to do anything about it. There was a standard there was a standard toolbox to do certain things with it.
Okay,
I could do X, I could do one or I could do two, and 80% of my wells couldn't support doing those.
Right. Okay, so the wells weren't performing.
That's right. Which is naturally what happens when the more oil you pull out, the less you get. It's called a natural decline.
Natural decline. Okay. So what if you approach everything from that angle?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're not even mentioning anything environmental.
Mm-hmm.
You're not mentioning anything like that. All you're doing is tweaking things a little bit in order to get a well that's dying. You infuse new life into that well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you get, while it's dying, you get some efficiency out of it
Mhm.
that you didn't have before. And it's very simple to do that. All you do is add this into your, you know, into your procedure. And it actually does that. It keeps that well performing.
Mhm.
And that's it.
Mhm.
You know, so you're not talking about well, actually, that speaks to the perceived threat directly. Because
Mhm.
if you think people's livelihoods are threatened, I mean, this keeps a well performing much longer. I mean, that sounds like job security to me.
Yeah. I agree
know-
with you, which is what you would think that role does. And again, everything is in transition. So,
Yeah.
I mean, and I will say it's a 16-year history of talking that narrative that still hasn't worked to my satisfaction. So,
Well, maybe you need to reframe the presentation of it.
I got it, man. I know.
Yeah.
That's what the greenhouse
but it
gas
seems to me
is
that
to
that's
get it
it.
to the scale.
Yeah, but the thing is, you won't want to talk about greenhouse gas at all. That's not the
No.
issue.
At certain levels, it is.
Well, it is, but that's not your foot in the door.
No, right. My foot is in the doors. It's the scaling ability to it, which is what the greenhouse gas capability is.
Yeah, but what
So,
does that have to do with getting your well to perform?
well, it has nothing to do with it.
Well, exactly.
It-
That's exactly my
uh,
point. So it's not even part of the conversation.
At certain levels, it is.
Well, it doesn't have to be.
Yep, I got it. I'm with you. It is a no-brainer,
Yeah, but
and
it's
it's
not
obvious.
just it. Yeah, but it's not just a no-brainer. This is about making your wells perform. Wells that are dying, it's making your wells perform. And it's that simple. That's all there is to it.
It's
There's
all there
nothing
is to
else.
it. I know. So to give you, the executive gave me a yes, July 7th of last year.
Okay.
Mhm.
So
May 7th is when we're going to execute our first one
okay.
for that company. Just that's the environment we work in.
Yeah, I get it.
And that's 5 wells.
Yeah.
What does it need to be? 900 a month. That's
Why
my
does it
scalability.
well, I know that's your scalability, but why does it need to be that right away?
Well, it can't be, right? It can't be. You have to work into it to get there. I understand the process, but that's my point is that's how the industry works with something
Okay.
new.
That's how the industry has worked with something new,
Exactly.
which doesn't mean that that's written in stone, does it?
Nope. Just sure doesn't.
Okay, these 5 wells that are coming online with your product, is there any resistance in that anywhere?
Well, of course, otherwise we'd be doing more.
Okay, so do they have more than 5 wells, or have they agreed to just try it on 5?
Yeah, they've agreed to try it on 5, and it's in the process of moving to that 900 a month. Yes,
Okay.
that's one pilot, one project turns into more projects. It rolls into more projects, or it rolls into the scalability of it all. Yes.
Right. Okay, is your growth model an old structure or a creative structure?
It's a creative structure now.
Is it?
You tell me the difference, so it would determine it then.
Well, you just told me how it was going to work.
Mhm.
If it's a creative structure, how do you know that?
All right, what are we aiming it at here?
Just taking a look at the structure.
Okay.
Okay, you keep telling me, well, this is how it works in the industry. This is how it works in the industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're self-imposing all these limitations on, all these conditions on how it works in the industry.
Mm-hmm. Now it has worked in the industry, you bet.
Okay. So
Again, I'm trying to uncover, what are you working to uncover with me?
Well, I'm trying to uncover your your creative structure, and it isn't the ones that you've told me. All of those past reference.
Got it.
Okay, we're looking for a structure that's miraculous.
Okay.
That's unlike anything anyone has seen.
Which is the greenhouse gas component of it that I'm speaking to. Yes.
No,
it's
got nothing to do with greenhouse gas.
It's okay. Okay. Then why would it be? That is what's new.
No, what's new is that you're bringing life back to dying wells. That's what's new. What I'm trying to tell you is that there isn't a precedent.
That's why greenhouse gas is the precedent. Now, precedent I heard as an urgency.
No,
What do you mean by precedent?
Precedent is something that's brand new, that hasn't been done before.
Okay.
That's creative structure.
Okay. So they are doing what they know to do, as is the way to bring life to their wells.
Okay, what are they doing already to do that?
They're steaming and drilling.
Okay, and they've been doing
Those
that
are their tools.
for 100 years, right?
You bet.
Okay. So what do they end up doing with that well when it stops performing completely?
They abandon it.
They abandon it, of course. Okay. So the real threat here is that your well's going to run dry and you won't be able to extract anything else from it.
Yep.
Right? So it basically becomes a non-performing asset.
Or the regulators will shut you down before the economic limit of that. That is the other situation.
Right. But either way, it becomes a non-performing asset.
Yep.
Okay. And you have a way to keep that asset performing.
Mhm.
Different angle. So who's doing these accusations? So does it come from like the government or higher than them, or?
The regulatory side of it, yeah, that the existential threat is from the public, from the climate public side of it, is just how dirty the oil industry is, and then the other one is California regulations who want to end oil production altogether. Yeah.
Okay. So the people wants to hear an answer, right?
Mhm.
So
Have they put a moratorium on new drilling?
No, but it's in the process.
It's in the works. Yeah.
I think 2040, I think is what they said.
Wow. Okay.
So it's the timeline out. Yes.
yeah, I just feel like as much as like our media is corrupt, it's still a tool. And I feel like Fox News is doing a little bit something different right now. They're a bit more open. And if you could reach them out and like address these issues, because you have the solution,
A
then
solution. Yep.
instead then you reaching out for people or like these oil company, then they'll be reaching out for you.
Mhm. Yeah, that's using the media outlets, right, to gain the attraction and the attention that
Yeah,
the
because
oil
like,
companies may be saying no to. Yeah.
like if I have an issue at work and then I go talk directly to the person I have the issue with, and that doesn't resolve, so I go higher, right? So I go see my foreman. And if the foreman doesn't do anything, then I go see my superintendent.
Yep.
And if that doesn't work, then I go see his boss. So I feel like they haven't been listened to like the lower level. Then you have to go to a higher level.
Yep.
I don't know if that makes sense, but I feel like
That is the strategy. You bet. The strategy is to apply all levels. That's where it's at, right? Is the getting in front of the high levels to see that the lower levels have been telling them a narrative that is untrue. And working with the lower levels so that they will can say yes when the upper levels push it down.
But yeah, I just feel like it's like you're at the lower level and like begging them to come with you, even though you have this brilliant idea. But it has to come from like
Without
the
a doubt.
top.
Yep.
Top
That's
down.
how 16 years it's worked. And
Right.
that's how it's been for 16 years, you bet. We haven't had put it this way, they don't want to hear about increased oil, as crazy as that is.
Right.
So
You don't want to hear about what?
increasing oil. They say they do, right? But at the end of it, it was never enough to get to open the door, because that's what everybody goes to the door with. So they're not receptive to it. They have their gatekeepers, right? You know, at the end of the day, you look at the structure. How do you get to the CEO's office? Well, you went to school with him, you were their buddy, right? You built trust along the way as they got to their level. They don't listen to a small company calling you out of the blue. Old structures, I got it, but that's how structures work.
Sounds to me like you're trying to move a mountain with a bulldozer.
I can't hear you, Craig.
I said
I'm
it
trying to
sounds to
find
me,
new avenues. I'm trying to
sounds
find
to
and
me like you're
create
trying
new
to move a
avenues.
mountain with a bulldozer.
Well, I mean, I'm looking for ways to have the mountain move itself. So, and when I have that, then it'll be an easy conversation to understand what it was that worked.
But those 5 wells are going to make a difference.
Well, I mean, I do like, well, you know, they're going to start a different conversation that hasn't existed in the past, exactly in a new environment that's part of the transition. But at the end of the day, just that doesn't matter. It has to connect into the emissions, into the greenhouse gas component, which is where the real narrative exists, that adds to the longevity, that saves the industry, which is the end result. So yes, 5 wells are part of that. Yes, this project is part of it, which is yes, why where it's at in the moment is the frustration that it's not moving fast enough. Now that's my imposed timeline.
Yeah.
And that is what we're talking about here, because that's what I've shared as where my frustration is in it.
That's where your frustration isn't?
That's where my frustration is in it.
Oh, okay.
Is around the speed, the velocity, the accepting of it, the moving of it, the hearing the conversation 7 times. Of how they can all get what they want, right? It's like getting that message 7 times in front of them faster than what it's being done now. That's all of it. That's all that this is about.
So they're basically giving themselves the question why they can't have it.
Well, they're not even the question. It'd be better if they were asking the question, but it's not even. They're not even. They're part of the old structure that assumes that it can't be done that way. In their defense, it's in the defensive part of it. It's the fighting part of it, right?
Yeah.
It's in the awareness that they are fighting it, which first comes to the allowance and the acceptance. It's like, first you've got to accept and allow, oh shit, we are doing this, which comes through a story, which comes through a narrative, which comes through awareness, which comes through the media, which comes through all sorts of different ways that people say, oh, we are doing that. All sorts of angles, all sorts of stories, all sorts of things, and that's what's being put together, right? Is what, you know, like, what is the stories? What are the ones that need to be put out there? What do they need to hear it? And then how do we get those stories out to them?
Yeah.
And it all,
Well,
from
and-
my point
well,
of
and
view, should have
there's
been
the
done
other-
yesterday, right?
Yeah, well, there's the other thing is it seems like nobody's really ready.
I know,
You know, I mean,
but how else-
you were
how
for
else-
some reason or other,
right?
you know, so you could look into that. Like what was it that made you ready to consider some kind of innovation?
Well, and right.
So the
Similar
thing
to
is,
you.
so the thing is, instead of trying to sell something, you could work on building up the same pressure that you felt that got you to look at this alternative.
Mhm.
You know, you could create that.
Mhm. Good. Here's what I've learned from this is that there's a way to, again, because I've been in the idea of like, all right, I get toning down that and bringing this up. And so that was what was part of the synchronicity, the contribution to it was the validation, if you will, like, oh, I can bring that down and bring this up. And so thank you
Yeah.
guys for opening that space.
Yep.
And thanks for being open to
Well, for
hear
the
it.
most part, I wasn't it?
Yeah.
Not all
Because
places.
you said it yourself, like you said it yourself was the reason you came across this was because you had wells that weren't performing.
Mm.
And that was kind of your starting point. And the whole environmental thing turned out to be a kind of a byproduct, another effect that you hadn't anticipated. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, so the trick is to take people back there.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can speak to things like keeping wells performing longer, or you know, having my wells last until my retirement, or
Yeah.
you know, those kinds of things, right?
Yeah.
You know, keep that asset performing, those kind of things. Those are the kind of things that everybody wants.
Hmm. Yeah, it is.
You know, including you. And so, you know, you keep the conversation there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. And because what I love noticing with it, even like certain levels will need to hear it because they'll get the velocity going. But
Right.
at the local levels here, it just needs to be tied into the ways to do that more around on the production and asset performance and so on and so forth. So
Yeah, so you speak to the guys that are in the field whose livelihood is threatened because this well is starting to underperform, right?
Yeah.
So look, we got the answer to that. And you can actually talk directly to your field people with that.
Mhm.
You know, and it's really, really simple to add this to your process.
Yep.
And you'll be here for another 10 years.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like it's kind of that simple.
It is. That's good. All right, guys. Well, I got to run and get the kids ready. So thank you so much.
Okay, awesome.
Sounds good.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good day, guys.
I will. Good action for me. Thanks.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, guys.
Okay, bye.
Bye, Jesse. Thanks.
Thanks, Craig.